Welcome to Taking Questions. My name is Ann Gobel. I am the moderator and host of the After Party. And I am so lucky to be able to be talking to Kim Schlag, who is a personal trainer and a nutrition expert. And Kim, like so many of us in our 40s and 50s, you found yourself doing these yo-yo diets, ending up confused, and somehow you found the secret to losing weight and being successful and having this healthy relationship with food and with your body. And first of all, I'm one of your favorite fans on Instagram, and you are so funny and so fun. And it is wonderful and inspirational to know that so many of us who are going through menopause, that it's not too late. It's not too late to get fit. It's not too late to have a healthy relationship with food. It's not too late to get your body in shape. And what do you think the top reasons are that women over 40 think they can't lose weight?
Well, first of all, thank you so much for having me here tonight. It is a pleasure to be here. Yeah, look, so I was one of these women. I am not a person who's naturally thin. I struggled with weight. And when I say struggle with my weight, even in my 20s, I was always one of those people who wanted to lose 5 pounds. Like objectively speaking, I didn't have a lot of weight to lose in my 20s, but I always felt like I should lose 5 pounds. By the time I had 3 children, and I was in my late 30s, I was struggling with obesity. I was not just a couple of pounds up anymore. And I yo-yoed, you name a diet, I did it. Sometimes successfully, sometimes unsuccessfully, always putting the weight back on. And it wasn't until I was in my early 40s that I really got a handle on proper nutrition and training, and eventually transitioned into helping other people with that. So I come from a place of knowing this personally, as well as with lots of clients. And the reason I see that, several reasons that women really struggle to believe that they can lose weight at this age. One, it's the story we're told, right? This is the narrative. It's all downhill from here. Your best years are behind you. Like this is what we're told. And so that starts to get in our brain, right? And then the other really big piece of it is two big pieces. We've had these experiences where we struggled to lose weight. So we've had these failed experiences over and over. So in our brain, we're like, it's probably not even possible, right? And then when a person starts to believe that there's something out of their control, that's why they can't lose weight. So it's my hormones, it's my age. It's really easy to attribute what is actually an inherently difficult thing to do. The reason it's going slowly is because it's my hormones, it's my age, when really it's not easy to lose weight. It is that hard. People try to sell it to you like it's super easy. Here's the thing. It's not as complicated to understand as people make it out to be. But it's way harder to do in practice because you've got to be on your nutrition every day, day in and day out. So that's what I really think the big issue is. It's inherently slower than you might think. And it's really easy to be like, it's my hormones, it's my age. And it's not. There are plenty of women who lose weight in perimenopause and menopause. I did it, my clients do it, people do it all the time.
And it's hard. And you have all of these excuses and you start to believe them, and then you can't get motivated. And at this age, that's a big hurdle to get motivated. And so, you have to start, you just have to start, and you have to start exercising. What are, in your opinion, the 3 best ways to start exercising, to get over that hurdle, to get over the excuses?
Yeah. So I like what you said, you've just got to start, because I will tell you, I'm not a big proponent of what people need is motivation. I would submit to you that motivation is way overrated. It's great. Sometimes it's so fleeting, but when we feel that motivation, great, run with it, ladies. If you're feeling motivated to improve,
literally and figuratively, run with it.
Right, run with it. Do something. And the thing I would have you do is start creating habits, because you're not. I'm telling you, I'm not saying like you might not be motivated all the time. I'm telling you, you won't be motivated all the time. Right. And so when you are having those bursts of motivation, use it to create good habits. Specifically, your question about exercise. All right, how can we start with exercise? Start really small. Start stupidly small, like pick something so tiny that you don't need to rely on motivation to do it. Just like you didn't rely on motivation this morning to brush your teeth, Anne, right? Like you're not like,
actually, I'm not sure if I did. Debatable. Like what does small mean? What is really small? Okay. Because small for you may be seismic for me.
And here's the thing. I want a person to look and say, like, if I make this change on a scale of 1 to 10, 10 being it's like, no problem, I'm going to do it. And 1 being like, it's not happening. We want you up there like an 8, a 9, or a 10. And if you're like, it's not an 8 or 9 or 10, that's not the habit for you. Here are a couple I would suggest to consider. start a walking practice, a daily walking practice. Here are a couple of suggestions for that. After every meal, walk 5 to 10 minutes. Okay. If 10 feels too long, start with 5. If 5 feels too long, start with 2. Use that scale. Make sure you're an 8, a 9, or a 10 on the how easy is this going to be for me. To walk after every meal. Get a step tracker. Don't pay attention to the calories burned nonsense. Just pay attention to what your steps are. Track your steps without changing a thing for a whole week. See where you're at, and then add on 500 to 1,000 steps daily and go from there. Once that feels easy, go up again. Aim for at least 7,500 steps. That's a good place to be. That's another really good way. So really start this walking practice. Another option, huge proponent of strength training. Ladies, it is, if there was a magic bullet to change your body and to be healthier, it's strength training. It really is strength training. So let's get you started strength training. And if you're like, I don't even know where to start with that, try hiring a personal trainer in person for just 1 or 2 sessions. You don't have to commit to this person for a lifetime or some crazy long package, just 1 or 2 sessions, and specifically ask them to teach you, how do I do a proper squat? How do I do a proper push-up? How do I do a row? How do I do a hip hinge, which is the move, the basic move of doing a deadlift? What did I miss? A lunge. Have them just show you those basic moves and practice those. If you're like, I don't have the money for that, you can go to my YouTube channel. You can go to my Instagram. I think we're going to connect those things on both of those places, on my YouTube and in my Instagram. I have tutorials that talk you step by step how to do those basic moves. Practice them. You can literally pick one. You can say, like, you know what? I'm going to practice learning how to squat really well. You don't have to start with any weight. Get good at doing that move till you feel comfortable with it. Then add weight. Ladies, we've got to stop using little 3-pound weights. Okay. I know there are trainers out there and like, you're going to get long, lean muscles. That's nonsense. Your muscles cannot change their length. They have an insertion and an origin. They're not changing length. Little tiny weights aren't going to make you longer and leaner. I wish I'm 5'3.5". I'm not going to get longer. I'm not going to get longer. You need to challenge your muscles. So get really good form on these basic moves and then start increasing the weight over time. Your goal in your workout should be to get stronger. Not to get tired, not to get sweaty, not to get out of breath, not to burn a certain amount of calories. It should be, can I do more with this same exercise? Can I lift heavier weight than I could last time?
That's an important point, because like wall squats, I'm horrible at wall squats. I can't do them for very long. But the most important thing is that I do it right, so that I don't get hurt, right? Yes. Because there are so many things, and I'm a little bit of a spaz, I can get hurt. And so the right form and learning the right form, whether or not you use a trainer or you go to YouTube and then you videotape yourself, making sure your posture is right. Because at the end of the day, you can really hurt yourself if you're doing it wrong.
Yeah. And that's a really good point you made about videoing yourself. It's a really helpful thing to do. So just, you don't need like anybody fancy video cam. Literally get your phone, prop it up against your water bottle so you can see yourself head to toe from the side while you're doing one of these moves, and watch and compare yourself. Okay, here's Kim doing the exercise. Here's me. Does that look the same? And look, no, our two bodies are not the same, so it might look slightly different. And don't freak yourself out about form. Like, you're not going to be lifting 200 pounds, so you're likely not going to get super hurt. This is important. Practice doing it. Work on your form. Get somebody to check out your form who knows how to lift, but don't go in there scared like, I'm going to hurt myself.
You were talking about doing steps before, and that's something that a lot of us do. That's very easy. We try to do that 10,000 steps a day. Yeah. Are there any particular trackers that you like to use? Are there any apps that you, no, it doesn't matter?
It really, you could buy, I used to own one from Amazon that was $13. The only reason I got this nicer Fitbit is because I show people all the time on Instagram what my steps are. And this one is a nice display and they can see it better. Otherwise, literally the $13 step tracker is totally fine. You don't need a fancy Apple Watch. You can have one. If that motivates you, like if you like watching those rings close, go for it. There's nothing inherently better about an Apple Watch or a Fitbit versus like a regular old cheap pedometer.
That's great to know. And you can also just use your cell phone, because your cell phone, if you have an iPhone, that's tracking your steps, and that's pretty accurate.
Yeah, if you leave your phone on you all the time, that works well too.
So you, on your Instagram page, I watched this great video that you did about, if you're not sure how to start losing weight, you had 5 tips, 5 simple tips that everybody can use just to start. One of them started with about having your food plated and seated.
Yeah. So here's the thing. Weight loss doesn't have to be complicated. I'm a huge fan of learning how much you're eating, and we can talk about calorie tracking. That's a really great way to go. For some people, it feels like really overwhelming. And so no matter how we get you approaching weight loss, the key is going to be to get you in a calorie deficit. There is no other way to lose weight, ladies. You have to be in a calorie deficit, whether you're tracking those calories or not. So if you take these 5 things I'm going to give you and you do them, and you can literally start with just one and then add the others on, or you could start with several of them. Start small. You add these in, and what's going to happen is it's going to reduce the total number of calories you eat. So that's the idea. So seated and plated, that's literally what it means. Anything you eat, it should be while you're sitting at a table, and it should be on a plate or in a bowl, whatever the appropriate, cookware is. Okay. The reason this helps is because we do so much mindless eating, right?
Right.
We eat while we're cooking dinner. We're standing at the counter and we're eating. We eat in the car. We eat while we're sitting on the sofa. We just eat all day long. This adds up to hundreds and hundreds of calories a day. And so if we give ourselves this bright line, like this is a rule I do not cross, my food is eaten at a table on a plate. It really helps. We're not eating out of packages, boxes, and bags, which helps us to keep to proper portion sizes. It is so easy to go from I'm having a serving of nuts, I'm having a serving of pretzels, to I've just had, a quarter of a bag.
The full bag.
So that's one thing I would say. And it doesn't take that much energy to think like, okay, plate, table. It's different, right? That puts us out of our comfort zone. We're used to like having the bag on the couch, but it's a really impactful habit. So that's one thing I would say. Another thing is to address liquid calories, whether your liquid calories are in the form of alcohol, whether they're in the form of soda, juice, specialty coffees with lots of fat and sugar, whatever they are, start swapping some of those out for 0-calorie drinks. You can, if this is a big one for you, if you're like, I know I have a lot of calories that way, you could cut it in half. You could cut it smaller. I have a client who's lost 30 pounds since December, and this was her first habit. She went from drinking 12 sodas a day, 12. And I said, where do you feel comfortable starting? She said, I'm going to go 4. So she went to 4. That was her goal. She never hit 4. She always got 3. She's now down to like 1 a week. It's been a huge impact on her life. So liquid calories, find a way to reduce them. Pick a number smaller than what you have now and start there. So that's number 2. A third one, more home cooked meals, less eating out. I know it's painful. We all like to eat out. And you can successfully eat out and lose weight. It can get tricky. There are just so many hidden calories it's how they make the food taste so dang good, right? It's all the extra oils and things that they put in there. You have more control of that at home. So if you're a person who eats most of your meals out right now, what we want to do is we just want to flip that balance. You don't need to go to eating all home cooked meals, but if you're right now 80% out, 20% home, let's start, let's go maybe 60-40 and eventually have more home cooked, less meals out. Okay, what did I miss? Another one with flipping the balance of things is we want more minimally processed food and less highly processed food, right? And we think about processed food on a scale. A can of beans is processed, right? But that's not what I'm getting at when I'm saying less processed food, right? I'm talking about the chips and the donuts and the pastries and those things. You can have some of those. What we really want is for that to be 10 to 20% of your overall food, and the rest of that 80% to be nutrient dense, minimally processed foods. So that's a big one. Again, you don't have to be tracking these things. Just really start being conscious. Like, am I getting more of this minimally processed stuff? And then the last one, this one is really quantifiable. This one, I really like this one.
I think this is my least favorite.
Oh, really? Because you're like, that's hard. I don't want to do that. This one, take a look at your usual dinner plate, your usual lunch plate. Whatever amount of vegetables you have on that plate, double the portion. Whatever amount of starch you have on there, rice, potatoes, pasta, half it. Okay. So again, I'm not saying don't eat it. There's no banned foods. You do not need to cut out carbs, ladies. You can have carbs. Half your usual portion of the starch, double the portion of vegetable, keep a nice big piece of protein. That's a great formula for reducing overall calories.
I'm just a girl from the Midwest, and I was telling you, I love my corn, my canned corn. And you're like, God, I guess canned corn a good vegetable. You're like, please stop.
Here's the thing. You can have the canned corn, but have a half amount of it. And when I say double your vegetables, I'm not talking about doubling the corn.
Right.
Like,
I'm just going to pile on more corn.
Get something green on there next to the corn.
Right. That's funny. There are so many things out there, so many myths, so many overrated ways. You had talked about the different fads that you've tried throughout the years. What are the two most overrated ways to lose weight?
So I know you got this one from an Instagram post of mine. So what I want to start with, ladies, is there's a lot of terrible ways to lose weight out there. Detoxes and cleanses, none of that stuff works. It just doesn't flat out work. And having said that, I'm going to tell you two things now that are people's go-tos. They're like, I'm going to lose weight. And if they're not going for one of those silly things, they go to these two. And neither of these are bad. And I'm not telling you not to do these things, okay? Because they're both good, healthy things. What I'm saying is neither of these are going to be big dial movers to get you to your goal. If your goal is fat loss and you land on these two as your go-tos, you're picking the wrong tool. And that is paying attention to how much water you're drinking and adding in extra cardio sessions. I know you probably all just were like, what? That's what I do, right? I've got my giant jug of water. Here's the thing. Water doesn't have calories. Drinking more of it, can it fill you up? Sure, it can. It's just not doing a ton to hit that bottom line of let's reduce your overall calories. And that's why I say it's just, we only have so much energy to focus on habits that are going to help us lose weight, right? If that's your goal, I want to lose weight, let's pick something that's going to move the dang dial, and it's not drinking more water. And you might be like, well, wait a minute, cardio burns calories. And yes, it does. And it's good for your heart. And I'm not saying don't do it. It's just not your best tool. Your best tool is going to be getting your nutrition under control. And then as far as exercise goes, strength training is going to give you bigger bang for your buck because it's going to help you build muscle. It's going to change the shape of your body. And it's also going to increase your metabolism. So you can do cardio and you can drink water, ladies, but don't rely on those as big guns to lose weight.
So last weekend was the 4th of July. And a lot of us are now out. COVID is sort of at bay. And everybody was out celebrating, indulging. Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. And now we're coming off that big weekend. We're coming into another weekend in the summer.
Yeah.
Should I do a detox or a reset? Or what is your philosophy here? When I've overindulged on a weekend, what do I do? And now I'm coming into a weekend where I may or may not overindulge.
Yeah.
How do I set myself up for success?
It's hard because we get it in our mind, especially if you're a person who hasn't learned yet how to use the scale properly. And we can talk about that here like in a bit. But you can get on that scale and you're like, I'm up 4 or 5 pounds. Ladies, I was up 4 or 5 pounds the other day. I was up on Monday. It's totally normal to be up after a holiday. And if you get that number in your head, and one of two things often happens. One, screw it. Like, this is never going to work, right? Or two, like, I can't eat today. I'm going to do a detox. I'm going to fast. I'm having just green juice today, right? It doesn't work. And the reason it doesn't work is what that does is it sets you up for more overindulging the next weekend, right? Because how long are you really going to do that stuff for you? Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, maybe partly into Friday, you're like, I'm going 900 calories. I'm just drinking green juice, right? By Friday night and somebody's got the chips and the beer out, where are you? Like, you're 2 bags deep. So where you can set yourself up, morning, moderate calorie deficit, you go steady way, and it makes it way more, makes it way less stressful when you don't have to, oh my gosh, tomorrow I can't eat anymore, right? When I can have ice cream anytime. I can have a glass of wine anytime. If I want to put that in my calories on a Tuesday, I can have it. It loses its grip on a Saturday night. When like, it's not like it's now or never, like I can literally have this on Monday or Tuesday, it really helps. So you're going to set yourself up for success by waking up on a Monday morning and just getting back to whatever habits you're practicing and doing those and not over restricting.
That's great. That's great advice. Okay. So one of the biggest things when you're going into perimenopause and menopause, that midline pooch. And
yes.
One of the things like, my clothes don't fit me the same way. I don't look the same when I'm looking at myself in the mirror. Mm-hmm. What can I do? Because that, to a lot of women who are going through this, that's the biggest factor. That midline section that is starting to get out of control.
It's one of the things I'm asked about the very most. Like, what do I, menopause belly is a real thing, ladies. You're not imagining it. It really is there. And this is one of the things that happens as our estrogen declines, where we store our excess fat shifts. So the pattern of where we hold our excess fat shifts from more of like hips and thighs to our belly. And if you're a person who's like, where did this belly come from? I know I was there too, right? Like, where did it come from? That is a real thing. The key word, and I want you to listen to when I say this, it shifts where we store our excess fat. When you have fat to lose in perimenopause and menopause, you are likely storing more of it in your belly than you would like. The key is that we have to help you lose fat all over your body. That is done through the very unsexy words of calorie deficit. We need to get you into a sustained calorie deficit. You cannot choose where you will lose fat first. It might come off your belly last. But what I'm telling you is there is no special belly fat loss protocol. People are going to tell you there are. They're going to try and sell you all kinds of stuff, and it's nonsense. Calorie deficit, strength training, patience over time, it will come off. Women lose belly fat in menopause all the time. I know it's frustrating. We don't like it. I promise it can go away. It absolutely can go away.
We've had a couple questions from members of the after party. One of them, and we did talk about some of this, but I've heard lots about intermittent fasting being smart for perimenopause and menopause. What is your thought on the intermittent fasting? And is there any sort of diet that you recommend for those of us in this phase of life?
Great question. So let me tell you what the research says. It doesn't matter what my opinion is, doesn't really matter, right? So what the research shows us is when total calories and protein are controlled for, a person will lose weight, whether they're intermittent fasting or whether they're having a more steady meals throughout the day at the same rate. There's not an added benefit to that unless it helps you personally adhere better to your calorie deficit. So if you are a person who prefers eating fewer, larger meals and you don't really love breakfast, you can intermittent fast. That's a great way for you to stick with your calorie deficit. If you're a person who likes fewer, smaller meals and or you're a real breakfast gal, I'm a breakfast gal, then intermittent fasting isn't a great fit for you. There's no benefit. It's not like you're going to lose weight faster. It's going to give you some kind of boost. It is a tool in your toolbox that might work for you, or it might not.
Great. One other question. I'd love to know if I should expect my TD, total daily energy expenditure, to change in menopause. Nothing has changed for me activity-wise. I'm just wondering if my body will require less food due to metabolism changes.
It's a great question. And yes, as we move into perimenopause and menopause, there is a small reduction in our metabolism. Now, when I say that, ladies, it is not as big as you think it is. Everybody thinks it's big and that we need to be eating 1,200 calories, right? And importantly, there are things you can actually do to increase it. One of them, this specific person is alluding to, she's like, I know I'm not moving less, right? That's an important one because I will say, and we'll come back and tell her some other things. For a lot of people, this is one of the issues. As we age, we're not moving as much because what are we doing? We're doing a whole lot of what you and I are doing right now. We're sitting in our car driving to work. We're sitting at our desk. We're sitting in the car again, driving our teenagers around, right? We're sitting on the sofa. So we're doing a whole lot of sitting. Whereas before in our lives, maybe, we're not the kid playing at the playground. We're not playing after school sports. We're not walking across the college campus or chasing toddlers anymore. Mm-hmm. We're sitting. And so there's been this decrease in how much we move. That is a hugely impactful piece. And we talked about having a step goal to help counteract that. So that's one place to look. Another thing that might not at all occur to a person is we start losing muscle mass in our 30s. After the age of 30, every decade, we lose muscle mass 3 to 8% if we are not doing something to prevent it. And the something we do, eat enough protein and strength train. When you do that, ladies, you are increasing your metabolism. The number has been a little bit overblown by people. They're like, you can just burn more calories at rest. It's not as much as people say there, but where you will burn more is when you are exercising. As you're strength training and you're building muscle, it takes more energy to continue to build that muscle and to maintain that muscle. So putting more muscle on, and I'm not saying you need to look like Arnold Schwarzenegger. I'm a very small lady, ladies. I don't look like him, but putting muscle on can really help boost your metabolism. So that's a second thing that you can do. Those are two really impactful ways to manage this slowing of your metabolism. And then the other really big thing is most people just don't realize how much they're actually eating. Spend some time writing down everything you eat, whether you're doing it in a tracker like MyFitnessPal or Lose It, or whether you're just writing it on a sheet of paper. You will likely be surprised. Even if you feel like you eat like a bird for most of the week, night times, weekends, it adds up and you end up in maintenance, if not a surplus. So there's nothing special about menopause that is keeping you from losing weight. As I said, there is a slight reduction in your metabolism. There are things you can do to counteract it, and you can still lose weight.
So we talked a little bit about this, and let's touch on it again before we go. Our relationship with the scale and our love, hate, mostly hate relationship with the scale. How should we be looking at our scale?
So one of the things I would suggest is that if you're going to be a person who uses the scale, and I have no problem using the scale, I use it, most of my clients use it. We have to help you separate your emotions from that number. And you do that by learning how to properly use it. Here's what I would suggest to you. If you want to be a person who uses the scale, stop weighing in once a week. It is literally the worst way to use a scale, ladies. I did it back in my Weight Watchers days. You know, that feeling of like, okay, it's Wednesday, I'm going to weigh in Saturday morning. Like, I better stop eating now, right? And that number meant a whole lot to me. If it didn't show the number, I wanted it to show like I was going to be face first in a cake. It was really stressful. Stop weighing in once a week. At minimum 3 times a week. I prefer daily. And here's why. You weigh daily, you write it down. Think of yourself like a scientist. If a scientist is trying to find something out, they're looking for a pattern. What do they want? They want as much data as possible so they can see these patterns. So weigh daily, write the number down. As you're stepping on that scale, I want you to say to yourself, this is just data. This is a single point in time. This does not tell me whether or not I gained fat in this moment, because the scale is not weighing your fat. It is weighing your fat. It is weighing your bones. It is weighing your stomach content. It is weighing your poop. It is weighing a lot of how much water is in your body. This is a piece of data. You write that number down. You track it over time. And then how you know if you've lost weight is you look at your weight now to what your weight was a month ago. So average this week's weight, average an entire month ago, that weight, and then you look at the trends over time. And I really like to chart these. There's an app called Weight Gurus, and you can type these in and it shows you a line, because what we want over time is to see the line going down. What is not going to happen is every single point going down. It's going to go up and down and up and down and up and down. And I want you to start noticing the things that make the scale spike for you. There are a lot, like, look, after I have a heavy workout day, the scale is up. You will likely notice that for yourself too. If I have Chinese food, scale can be up 3 or 4 pounds. It's salt, ladies. If you eat carbs more than usual one day, the scale is going to be up, because that's how carbs work. They bring along with them around 3 grams of water. It's not fat. It's literally water. So unless you're like weighing in for a wrestling competition, does it matter that you have 3 extra pounds of water on you? No, and it's going to go away. So start practicing not being emotional. Do not let the scale dictate what you eat that day or how you feel about your body. It takes practice. All of this stuff takes practice. Think about anything you're doing as far as losing weight, getting stronger. It's all practice. You can't mess it up, because you're either going to make progress forward towards your goal or you're going to learn something. Start reminding yourself, I'm just practicing. I'm just practicing.
So, and I think we can do a whole episode on my next and final question. So I think we'll have you back on. We can talk about sleep and weight loss, because sleep is, besides some of the other things that we talked about with menopause and perimenopause, the lack of sleep and the sleep disruption is huge. And so I wanted to ask you about the relationship between sleep loss and weight loss.
It's such a good question. I actually literally today just recorded a podcast. So I have a podcast, the Fitness Simplified podcast. This episode will come out next Thursday. And it's me talking about this for 25 minutes. What is the connection? I'm going to give you the mini version right now, and then go look for that. So here's the deal. A lot of people, because people say so often, like, You got to sleep if you want to lose weight. It's important. And it is. For a lot of reasons, it's important. It is important for weight loss as well, but it is not a direct connection as in, I don't sleep, therefore I cannot lose weight. There's not some switch flipped in your body that says you now store fat, okay? Or you cannot lose weight. What happens is an indirect connection. It's through our hormones. We increase our cravings when we're not sleeping. There's a decrease in our satiety, an increase in our hunger, and our NEAT can be downregulated. All of those things then affect our total calories. If you're craving food, if you're hungrier than usual, if you're not satisfied, what are you doing? You're eating more. If your NEAT has been downregulated, your body is literally not moving as much. If you're not paying attention to it, what is happening? You are burning less. And that combination means you're not losing weight or you're indeed putting on weight. So again, you can approach all of those things. You can work through. And I talk about this in this episode. How do you manage your cravings? What do you do when you're feeling overly hungry and like you're a bottomless pit? What do you do to manage that? How do you manage the fact that your NEAT is being downregulated? And then you can fix those things, manage those things so you can still lose weight even when you're not sleeping. And of course, then we really need you to approach, why are you not sleeping? If it's hot flashes, like first line defense for that, ladies, is hormone replacement therapy. Talk to your doctor about that. Talk to your doctor about, supplements, things like magnesium can help, but talk to your doctor about those things. It's kind of two prongs. We want to figure out why are you not sleeping and how do we help you with that? And then what do we do? Because that can take a long time. Look, when my hot flashes started and I didn't know like what was up and what was down. I went from February until May in 2019 without sleeping a solid night. That was terrible. I happened to have lost 6 pounds during that time too, because I was doing these things. But my point is like, it takes time and you can do both. Figure out why you're not sleeping. How can you help that and manage these things so you can lose weight at the same time?
Well, Kim, thank you so much for joining us this evening on Taking Questions. I cannot tell you how much I enjoy watching your videos every day on Instagram. You are inspirational, but you are so much fun.
Oh,
and you make me smile and laugh every single day. So thank you for that.
I'm so glad to hear that because my teenagers think I'm insane when I'm like running around like on these videos.
No, it is fun, and I would love to take a page from your book on doing those types of videos. It's fun to watch you. So thank you.
Oh, well, thank you.
Then thank you on behalf of Women S. Thank you for everything that you're doing for women everywhere, making them feel better about themselves.
Oh, I appreciate that. Thanks so much for having me. This was fun.